All right, a little review from yesterday, last couple days. So the first one you're asked to take f plus g of x. Now, we've got a binomial and then a monomial. So we've got two terms and we've got one term. So there's really not much to worry about with this, especially when we do the subtraction one. Adding them together, you're just going to have 2x minus 8. That's my f of x function. My g of x function is 2x squared. So technically, I suppose you've done what I've asked.
That was it, right?
However, you should get yourselves into the habit of putting it in standard form. So remember, with standard form, you are going to put them in descending order. It should be plus 2x. You're going to put them in descending order according to the exponent. With the second one, we're subtracting f minus g of x. So if I take my f of x function, that's 2x minus 8, minus my g of x. There's really no reason to put this inside of parentheses now. Since it's only one term, you don't have a negative really to distribute anywhere. So you're good there. If you wanted to rearrange it, negative 2x squared plus 2x minus 8. Either way, good to go. Technically, there's other things we need to do with this, but that wouldn't be too bad. And then the last one, f times g of x. So my f function is 2x minus 8. My g function is 2x squared. If you wanted to flip it around because you're used to the 2x squared being out front, nothing wrong with that. We distribute 2x times 2x squared. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared is x cubed. So that's 4x cubed. And then 2x times negative 8, negative 16 x squared. Really? So that's what we've been covering the last 2 days. We did addition and subtraction on Monday, and then multiplication yesterday. Questions with any of those? All right, today we're going to cover 10b again. We're still on the second part of chapter 10. Function operations again. Today we're going to work on evaluating functions. More importantly, we're going to work on evaluating if we add two functions together, or multiply two functions together, subtract two functions together. How do we go about evaluating different functions? Now, the evaluation of function itself, we've done this already. If you were given a function, say f of x is equal to 3x plus 4. One of the things we worked on earlier in the year with functions is we said, okay, what if I want to find f of 2? Given the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 4, I want to find f of 2. So what I've done here is all I've really done is I've taken my f of x and I've substituted a 2 for that x. So because I substituted a 2 in for the original x, with my original rule, 3x plus 4, anywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with a 2, or whatever is inside of here. If I asked you to find f of 1, you would replace it with a 1. If I ask you to find f of smiley face, you replace the x with a smiley face. Whatever is inside this parentheses is what you substitute in for your x value, or whatever variable that it tells you that you're working with. So f of 2 in this case, I'm going to substitute and have 3, which was my original number, My x value is now being replaced by a 2. And this 2 here comes from right there. And then we're going to add 4 to that. So everything that was in the original function, we leave in the original function. We just replace the variable with what I'm substituting it for. Now we follow order of operations and we solve. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. So f of 2 is equal to 10. That's my solution. And we could graph that and we could do other things with that if we wanted to, but we don't want to. Okay. So now instead, let's find f of negative 3. We're going to use the same function, but now we're going to find f of negative 3. So we look at our original function again. The 3 was a number that was in our original function. Then we had an x. We're now replacing or substituting that x with a negative 3. It's just that right there. And we're still going to add 4 to it. Follow order of operations. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. That's your solution, and you move on. Okay. It's evaluating functions. And again, it doesn't matter what I put in there. I could say, well, let's find f of x plus 6. We're not necessarily going to get a number now, but we can still do this by following the simple rule that anywhere I see an x in my original function, I'm going to replace it with x plus 6. Concept doesn't change. The math does. It gets a little bit harder, but the concept doesn't change. So this is going to be 3. I'm substituting the x with x plus 6. I still have to add 4 onto the end. Now you've done these pieces, you distribute. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 6 is plus 18. And then we've got the plus 4 at the end. Combine your like terms. 18 plus 4 is 22. So f of x plus 6 is just 3x plus 22. We don't have an answer, but we've got a new rule. And again, like I said, if I want to put a smiley face in there, substitute a smiley face in there. Whatever we substitute in there is what you're going to do. Okay. So that's kind of the baby of evaluating. We've done kind of this before. We're going to expand on it today and say, okay, if I have two functions, I don't like these two functions, so I'm going to change this one. If I have two functions, f of t is equal to 3t plus 2, and g of t is equal to 2t plus 1. Now I want to find, I don't just want to evaluate one of them, I want to take these two functions, add them together, and evaluate it at 3. So now we're going to find f plus g of 3. So in a sense, if we rewrote this, and we talked about this on Monday, this would be the same thing as, not g, this would be the same thing as f of 3 plus g of 3. Two thoughts in how you do this. One of the ways you could do this is that we could take the f plus g of x, or t, of t, and add those two things together right away. Okay, so because there's a plus sign in there, one way that we could do this is we could take f of t and add to it g of t. So f of t is 3t plus 2. G of t is 2t plus 1. we could take and add those two things together. Combine your like terms. That's 5t plus 3. Now, what am I substituting in there? 3. I'm substituting now in there 3. So anywhere I see a t, I'm going to replace it with a 3. So this would be 5 times 3 plus 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 3 is 18. That's using the rules that we talked about Monday and yesterday, where we take the two functions, add them together, and after we've created our rule, because that's what we've done, we substitute in the value of 3. That's one way to do it. To me, that's the harder way to do it. The easier way to do these, in my mind, is to find f of 3 in your original function, and then find g of 3, and then take those two things and add them together. Not creating a new rule, but just evaluating each of these individual functions and then putting the rule to them. So if I find f of 3, so I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to find f of 3. Anywhere I see a t, I'm going to replace it with a 3. So 3 times 3 plus 2. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is equal to 11. So now I know that f of 3 is equal to 11. Now I go and I find g of 3. G of 3 is going to be 2 times 3 plus 1. I go to my g function, and anywhere I see a t, I replace it with a 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So I know my g of 3 is equal to 7. 11 plus 7 is 18, which is the same answer as we got before. It's just two different ways to think about it. Which method you choose to do, I don't care. That's up to you. You can either rewrite the rule and then substitute it in, or you can just evaluate each of them, and in this case 3, and then perform the addition, subtraction, or multiplication. We will continue to kind of do it this way. I think it's easier. Nobody coming in?
8 people looked at the door.
Oh. All right, so let's look at another one. So we've got f of x is equal to 2x squared plus 1. G of x is equal to 4x minus 3. The question is, what's f plus g of negative 2? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite f plus g of negative 2 to kind of help myself just kind of think about what I need. So we could rewrite this f of negative 2 plus g of negative 2. Okay. I like to do it this way. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to find f of negative 2. So in my f function, anywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with a negative 2. So this is going to be 2. And then I'm going to put the negative 2 inside parentheses and square it plus 1. And here's where your number sense is going to come into play, or your calculator is going to come into play. You need to remember to follow order of operation. Order of operation says you have to square -2 first. Okay. Parentheses, exponents. So -2 squared is 4. So this is going to be 2 times 4 plus 1. The common error is to take 2 times -2, get -4, and then square that. Nuh-uh. Follow order of operations. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. So f of -2 is 9. Plus g of -2. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do g of -2. So in my g function, anywhere I see an x, I'm going to put -2 inside of parentheses. Should have done it in a different color, but I didn't. So that's 4 times -2 minus 3. 4 times -2 is -8. -8 minus 3 is -11. So my g of -2 is -11. 9 plus -11 is -2. So f plus g of -2 is -2. Kind of starting to make a little sense. Okay. Look at that. It's already done. Imagine that. I wonder why that happened. Okay, so using those same two functions, f of x is 2x squared plus 1, and g of x is equal to 4x minus 3. See if you can find f minus g of 4. So use the two original functions that we used over here. Use these two. To see if you can find f minus g of 4. Why don't you try it on your own? Kind of gave you a hint of what you should do. All right, let's take a peek. So we're going to find f of 4. So I look at my f function, which is 2x squared plus 1. And now I'm going to put the 2 down. And now my x is going to be replaced with 4. We still have to square it, and we still have to add 1. So again, all I've changed from my original function is the value that they told me, which in this case was 4. Again, you had to follow order of operations. So this is going to be 2 times 16 plus 1. 2 times 16 is 32. 32 plus 1 is 33. So f of 4 is 33. Now we have to find g of 4. So I go to the g function, which is 4x minus 3. And anywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with parentheses 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 3 is 13. So my g of 4 is 13. 33 minus 13, and the answer you should have gotten is 20. At least that's what I got. Doesn't mean I'm right. Am I right? Okay. All right, so now we're going to change the function up again. Now we're going to change the function to g of x is equal to negative 4x minus 1, and r of x is equal to 3x squared. So 3 questions with this one. Find g plus r of negative 1. So that's going to be g of negative 1 plus r of negative 1. I want you to find r minus g of 3. Notice it's r minus g of 3. So that's going to be r of 3 minus g of 3. And then the last one I want you to find is r times g of 4. Of negative 4, I'm sorry. So you're going to find r of negative 4, and you're going to multiply that by g of negative 4. Give you 3-4 minutes. So the first one, I need g of negative 1. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of put a little line here. Find g of negative 1. So that's going to be negative 4 times negative 1 minus 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So my g of negative 1 is going to be 3. At least that's what I got. Plus, now I have to find r of negative 1. So that's going to be 3 times negative 1 squared. This messes everybody up all of the time. You have to square negative 1 first. Negative 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, it's a common error. So now, so we know that this is going to be 3 plus 3, which is 6. So there's the solution for the first one. The next one, we're going to take r of 3 minus g of 3. Okay, so I'm going to find r of 3. So my r function is 3x squared. So that's going to be 3 times 3 squared. Again, you have to do the squared first. 3 squared is 9. So this is going to be 3 times 9, which is 27. So r of 3 is 27. G of 3, negative 4 times 3 minus 1. So that's negative 12 minus 1, which is negative 13. So that's 27 minus negative 13, which is 40. And then the last one, r of negative 4 times g of negative 4. I'm just going to do it down here. R of negative 4 would be 3 times negative 4 squared. Have to do that first. So that's 3 times 16, which is 48, times g of negative 4. So that's, to look at my g function, which is negative 4x minus 1. So negative 4 times negative 4 minus 1. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. 16 minus 1 is 15. So r times g of negative 4 is going to be 48 times 15, which is 720. That's your solution. So you're going to spend the rest of the day working on evaluating these. And understandably, the concept of substituting in there, I think you're pretty good with, knowing what you have to substitute in there. The problem that you're going to have with this is the number sense of this. You're going to struggle with 3 times negative 4 squared. Okay, so make sure you're taking your time in those number sense and you're getting those things taken care of. Okay, the worksheet, and don't come yet, but the worksheet is up here. Just a second though. The answers are inside of Schoology. So as you're going through this today, if you're working on the worksheet, open up your phone, open up the worksheet, and scroll to the bottom. So you can check your answers as you're doing these today to make sure you have the right answer. So you know what's going on. Tomorrow, we are going to do kind of a review-ish type day of all 3 of them. We'll spend some time working together. You're going to get a worksheet. It'll have some adding, some subtracting, some multiplying, and then some evaluating. We are going to take a short quiz on Friday. Anywhere between 5 to 10 questions on Friday. It's only meant to take about 10 minutes. And then we're going to use that remaining time to start talking about inverses. We're looking at an assessment Friday, and then also the following Thursday. If you are going to be gone, no spring break starts the week after that. If you are leaving for spring break early and you're not going to be here Thursday, please talk to me because then we'll try to get your test in prior to going on spring break. It's the week after next. It's the week after next. I don't know what else I can say to you. It's a week and a half. Worksheets there, go.